All right, so 30-member ski club, Tasmania State University, needs to select a planning committee upcoming ski trip. The committee will have a chairperson, secretary, and 3 at-large members. How many different planning committees can be chosen? That's tricky. Okay. 3 at-large members. Right. So we got to, yeah. Okay. So how are we going to do this? So we're picking a chairperson, a secretary, and 3 at-large members. So now in this section of probability, we're going to get into ways of choosing things and picking things. Didn't we talk about the P and the C right before Thanksgiving? The difference between permutations and combinations. You didn't think about anything else all Thanksgiving, right? It was just permutations and combinations and how different they are. Anybody remember what the difference is between a permutation, like if we do a P thing or a C thing? Remember we had those formulas? But I don't mean the formulas. I mean like, what does it mean in real life? What was the real life meaning difference between P and C? Remember I said something about a combination pizza?
So order matters.
Yeah.
Order doesn't matter.
Yeah, so which one does order not matter? When you order a combination pizza, do you ever tell them the order to put it in? Like first the bell peppers, then the olives, cheese on the top. No, you don't. You just say, give me the combo. No order. Order doesn't matter. No order. Yeah, no order. And the P is with order. Remember that difference? When you do the P thing, order matters. When you do the C thing, order does not matter. No order. Combination. Okay. That's what we're going to do on this problem. And how do you know? How do I know you're going to do it? It doesn't say do a P or C thing. Well, it's because out of a big group, I'm picking a small group. That's when you do the PC thing. Whenever you're saying out of, like, what do we do? We have 30 members, right? Out of 30 members, I've got to pick one person to be the chairperson. Don't I? And then I've got to pick another person to be the secretary. Right? I got to pick 2 people in that way. Don't I? So that means out of 30 people, pick 2 to be chairperson and secretary. Everybody see what I'm talking about there? Right? So how does that work? How are we going to actually do that?
Does it not matter that you have to pick 3 at-large?
And we'll get to that. No, we'll get to that too. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just doing step by step. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. Let's first start with just picking the chairperson and the secretary. Why? Because the order matters. If I said, hey, I'm going to pick in here a chairperson and secretary. Here we go. Elijah, Johnny. Is that different than going, remember, picking a chairperson and secretary? Elijah, Johnny. Or Johnny, Elijah. Whatever. No, that matters. No, that's different. Chairperson, secretary, or chairperson, secretary. Right? Different. Order matters. Whereas when you pick the 3 at-large members, if I just go, boom, 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 1, 2, 3. Doesn't matter what the order is. They all have the same office for the 3 at-large members. So for the first 2 we're picking, order does matter. For the last 3, order does not matter. Everybody see that difference? That's the crucial difference. So out of 30, pick 2, order matters, because you're picking a chair and a secretary, different jobs, right? And then, so how do you do that? That's 30P2. And remember we do this on our calculator or by hand or however you want to do it. We'll do the numbers in a minute. Let's just get the plan laid out first, then we'll do all the numbers. That's 30P2. Remember how we did a little bit of that before Thanksgiving? Out of 30, right? It's out of 30, pick 2. And the P, not the C, because order matters. Because there's different offices. Chairperson, secretary. Now, after you do that, just think real life. Out of this room, I had to pick a chairperson, secretary. All right, Elijah, Johnny, boom, boom, there we go. Now I got to pick the at-large members. Real life. Try to make this as real as you can, and you'll do better at the math. What am I going to just imagine doing this? Imagine looking out at a room of 30, say, okay, boom, boom, chairperson, secretary, set them aside. Now what am I looking at? Now how many people am I looking at? 30? 28 are left. Out of the 28 that remain, pick 3. And order doesn't matter, so it's going to be C. Now, out of 28, pick 2, order does not matter. Because same jobs. They're all just at-large members. They're getting the same jobs. Order doesn't matter. So, and you always times these things together, right? So out of 28, choose 3, doing C, because order does not matter. So there it is. We just got to do the numbers on that now. That should be our answer. However, those numbers, and I'll do them with you. But everybody good with that setup? That makes sense? Out of 30, pick 2. Then out of 28, choose 3. Order matters for the first 2. Order does not matter for the last 3. Okay, let's crank it now. You guys have your calculators with you? Or you can do by hand, whatever you prefer. I showed both. Here, I'll show by hand maybe. Remember, you start with the first number, 30. You start with that number, and this is the number of numbers. Remember that? Start at 30, do 2 numbers. So 30 times 29. Remember that? And then bring this times down, times. And now for the C, same thing. Start at 28, do 3 numbers, 28, 27, 26, but divide by 3 all the way down to 1. Remember for the C, you cut it. That's how I tried to key your memory. C, cut, divide, cut it, divide it by the second number all the way down to 1. That's with P, I don't divide it by anything. Everybody remember that difference between the P and the C? But you can just hit the buttons on your calculator. You have a P button and a C button on your calculator. I'd be glad to help you come downstairs and show you how to do that. If you're not sure, we did with a bunch of you last time, right? Before Thanksgiving. Didn't a bunch of people get that down? So that's great. Here's the by hand way. So start at 30, do 2 numbers. You're always going down by 1. Whenever I say do however many numbers, you're always going down by 1. Start at 30, do 2 numbers. Start at 28, do 3 numbers. But then cut it. The C you always divide it. The P you do not. Cut it by 3 all the way down to 1. So just type that into your calculator. Question, Janelle?
No, I already did it. Thank you.
All right. Let's see. So 30 times 29 times 28 times 27 times 26. 27, 26. 26. I'm getting 2850 Yeah, that answer that's listed there. Almost 3 million. Y'all able to get that? Does that problem make sense? That's surprising, isn't it? There's almost 3 million different ways to pick 2 people, chairperson and secretary, and 3 more at-large members. There's a lot of different ways to do that. Questions? All right, shall we move on? A study group of 12 students is to be split into 3 groups of 4 students each. In how many ways can this be done? All right, try that one. 12 students, break them into 3 groups. 12, so think about the P and the C and all that kind of stuff. So just imagine, the more real you are with it, the better you'll do with the math. It's really about being real. Just imagine 12 people standing in front of you. A dozen people. 12 dwarves. Is that how many dwarves? 12? Right? Whatever. 12 whatever, standing in front of you. And you're going to pick 4 to be in one study group. 4 more to be a second study group. And then the last 4 to be the third study group. Right? You're breaking them into study groups. Just think real life. Out of this many, I pick this many. Out of this many, I pick this many. Just every decision you make, it's out of how many, you pick how many, times those all together. Ask yourself if the order matters or not. I'm trying to make it as real as I can for you. Let's really do it one time. Let me just really do it. Here we go. All right. I'm going to pick study group number 1. All right. You, and you. Those 4, I just picked them. They're in study group number 1. So there we go. Number 3, number 5, number 9, and number 10. They're study group number 1. Okay. What did I just do? Out of how many, I picked how many. And did the order matter? Would it have been different if I said, oh, no, I meant 10, 5, 3, 9. That's who's in the study group. Is that different? Is that a different study group? No, that's the same group. Order does not matter, does it? So are we doing P or C here? C. It's like a combination pizza. Order doesn't matter. So it's a C. Out of how many, I picked how many? Out of 12, I chose 4. Didn't I? Out of the 12 people, I picked 4 of them and said, you're in study group number 1. Out of 12, I chose 4. Okay, what comes next? Think about real life, what you would do next. Try to make this real. Who are you looking at? You're looking at all 12 now? For your next pick? Are you considering all 12? No, 4 of them are already determined. So how many am I looking at for study group 2? I mean, how many are left to choose from? There's only 8 left, huh? There's only 8 people left. And I'm going to go, okay, maybe I'll put a triangle around group. Triangle, 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 triangle. Those guys are study group number 2. So out of 8, I chose 4. And by the way, we're going to multiply these together, aren't we? It's going to be 12, choose 4, times 8, choose 4, times, right? Good so far? This making sense so far? Out of 12, pick 4. That's the first study group. Out of 8, pick 4. The order doesn't matter because they're just all going to the same group. They don't have different offices in that group. The first one's president, the next one's secretary, and they're just all 4 in the same group. Everybody get the idea? You see whenever they have the same offices, huh? Whenever they have the same standing. At-large members, all in the same group. Versus president, vice president, secretary, those are different offices. That's when you use P. That's when the order matters. Remember I gave the example of giving away money? I said I'm going to read 3 names off the roll at random. The first person gets a $20 bill, the next gets a $10, and the last just gets $1. You would care what order your name was read. Whereas if I said I'm just going to read 3 names, they all get a $5 bill. You wouldn't care what order you were read in. Because if the results are different, you care about the order. If they're not, you don't. So, all right. Anyway, now here's the question to see how well you're being real with this. Now make the third decision. The third study group, I mean, right? We got out of 12, we picked 4 to be in the first study group. Out of 8, we picked 4 to be in the second study group. All right. Real life. Just be real, right? Be as real as you can. 12 people. 3, 5, 9, and 10. Boom, you're out. Study group 1. 1, 6, 7, 11. Boom, you're out. Study group 2. What do I have left to choose? Nothing. Is there any mystery who study group 3 is? Do I need to tell study group 3 who study group 3 is? How many people are left standing up there? The 4 that haven't been, there's just 4 left. They don't need to hear anything from me. They are, by default, the third study group, aren't they? There's only 4 left. There's nothing left to do. The decision is made, isn't it? Because everybody else is already in their groups. There's only 4 people remaining. They are the last group, by default. Right? That makes sense? So you don't have to do the third choice. It's done, doesn't it? Does that make sense? So it's just these 2. All right, let's crank these out. This is going to come out wrong, and I'll explain in a minute. It's because this is really tricky stuff. But we're kind of on the right track, kind of. It means we're on the wrong track, really. But we're really sort of right. There I go again, using a word like that. Let's just keep going. There's benefit to this. How about that? Start at 12, do 4 numbers. Remember how this works? 12, 11, 10, 9. Start at 4. Start at 12, do 4 numbers, but then cut it. The C you have to cut it. The P you don't. Cut it by what? 4 down to 1, huh? Times, and then what about this one? Start at 8, do 4 numbers, divide by 4 all the way down to 1. Make sense? You guys want to do all that in your calculator? I would do some reducing first. You don't have to. But I would go like 2 and 3 cancel 6. I'd go 4 goes into 8 2 times. 2 cancels 2. 3 goes into 9 3 times. 4 goes into 12 3 times. So I've just got to do what's left. I don't know if that was worth it or not. You don't have you don't have to. You can just multiply it all out. 333. I'm getting 34,650. Y'all getting that? Anybody getting that? 34,650. And that is not the right answer. Because this is a really hard subject. Now, I'm not going to push you this hard on the test. This is a super... On the test, I'll just give you like this, and you get to that, you're good. You're good. I'm not going to push you this hard. So that would be good enough on the test. I'll tell you why the answer is really 5775, but it's super subtle. And I'm not going to expect it on the test. I took a whole course on this. This subject is so hard. I told you that already, right? I took a whole course on this called... The name of the course was Counting. It sounded so easy. Counting. That was a junior level. You know, I was already done with calculus. I was in my junior year of a math major at Cal Poly, and I took counting. I thought, that sounds easy. Counting. It's this. This is called counting. Like counting how many different ways there are to do whatever. Break them up into 3 groups, you know. And it's subtle. It's a subtle field. Like, why is that not right? That looks so good. Our logic looks so perfect. There's a small flaw in our logic because this is a subtle field. It's tiny things turn the meaning. It's hard. That course was hard. That's the one where the teacher gave me Dr. Hood. I had him for a million classes. He always thought we were all so stupid. And he gave us the final ahead of time, 20 questions, said, here you go. Here's the final. And half of them will be the actual final next week, he said. Literally, no change at all. It'd be like if I handed you guys the final ahead of time. Here's the actual test. Well, you'd ace it, right? You go by the tutor and get them all figured out. Come to my office hours, get them all right, show up on the test, write them down, done. Why didn't I do that? Because I couldn't. They were too hard. And there was nobody on campus that knew how to do it either. Dr. Hood wasn't going to tell me ahead of time, right? They were hard. That's how hard that class was. He could give us the final ahead of time. You got a week. Good luck. See you in a week. That was a hard class. Anyway, so subtle. What's wrong with this? Well, again, I'll say it. Oh, we're almost out of time. Good, I don't have to say much. So I'll say it, but it's really confusing. It seems so right. There's a small mistake. The small mistake is you might think we did everything right, but really we did an ordering when we didn't mean to. How did we do it? What do I mean? Well, you see how I first picked 3, 5, 9, 10, and then next I picked what? The triangles, right? 1, 6, 7, 1, 6, 7, 11, and then last was whatever was last. 2, 4, whoever was not circled. 2, 4, 8, and 12. Anyway, so there's my 3 groups, right? I picked those 3 groups to break the study groups, people in the study groups, right? Think, what's the problem? Well, that's not different than if I first picked these guys. If I first picked 2, 4, 8, and 12 first, and then picked 1, 6, 7, and 11. See, I'm reversing the order. And last picked 3, 5, 9, and 10, right? Kind of did this upside down. That's the same breakup into 3 groups. But because I did it in a different order, this is counting that as different because when you multiply things together like that, you're implying order matters between one pick and the next, and it doesn't really. This breakup is the same as that breakup. They're really not different. I know that probably might not make a lot of sense. Logs, again, I'm not going to expect that on the test. You've got to divide this answer by all the ways to mix up 3 groups, which is 3 times 2 times 1. That's all the way to mix up 3 groups. If you have 3 groups, how many groups can go first? 3. Pick one of them to go first. 2 groups to go second. 1 group left. 3 times 2 times 1. Divide that by 6, in other words, and you get the real answer, 5,775. You can see why I didn't get an A in that class. That's too subtle. It's really tricky. And there we go. Oh, we didn't quite finish. Oh, just one problem to go. Okay, that's pretty good, though.